Alright guys, this is as redneck as it gets right here. I drug a little 400 small block Chevy out I got here, and I'm basically just kind of cleaning on it and checking stuff out to make sure the engine's okay before I go any further with it. I really want to put a 400 in my 55. 55 hardtop's my dream car, and a 400 small block is my dream engine. I love 400 small blocks. I've had a bunch through the years. I've built a few. I've actually had a 55 with a 400 that I built in it. I've never had an issue with one. I know there's, guys out there that don't care for them and stuff because they're prone to overheat and crack and all that crap, but I don't care. I've had good luck with them. Anyway, I bought this 400 several years ago from a guy. I actually bought a car from him too, so he's a pretty good guy. But anyway, this was out of his dad's El Camino, and it was like a mid-70s El Camino. Just basic. It had a quadrojet on it, and that's pretty much it. Cast iron intake and stuff. But anyway, his dad had bought that El Camino new, and he said his dad drove it for years around town and stuff. But anyway, it finally popped a head gasket on him, and they replaced the gasket in the driveway, and of course it didn't fix it. It popped it again soon after that. They did not take the head and have it surfaced or checked, which makes me think, head's probably warped or cracked or something. But anyway, I went ahead and bought it. His dad has since passed away, and the El Camino ended up getting parted out and scrapped. But anyway, the engine will live on with me, I guess. But anyway, this is an all-standard 400. They'd never had the oil pan or anything off of it. The only thing that had been off of it is the heads. And anyway, I noticed right away that these three steam holes here were completely plugged up. They were clogged up with gunk. So I used a drill bit the same size as a hole and opened them up. Now I did use the drill on reverse so I wouldn't drill anything. Now if you don't know, those steam holes go in at an angle. They're not straight down. But anyway, I went ahead and used a drill bit, a bigger one than these, as well on reverse, and just basically clear everything out. But now I know a 400, from past experience, if these are plugged up, it can cause the engine to run hot. So I don't know if that was what originally caused their problem or not, but I do plan on, I kind of want to take the engine and have it magnaflux to check it out. I have seen a 400 personally that had a crack between the cylinders, and a friend of mine that I know, he had a 400 in his shop, and it had a crack in the lifter valley, but it was out of a race car. But anyway, I don't plan on, I'm not building a race car, I'm building a cruiser. Now, I do want to take it to the midnights every once in a while and just run it to see what it'll do to play, but I'm just going to have street tires on it, so it's not going to be that much, but, it's just going to have like a 480 lift cam and no stall converter or nothing. It'll have headers and aluminum intake and a good carburetor and ignition system and stuff, but, it'll be fun, like at stoplight drags or something. If somebody challenges me, rev up or something, it's on, but it's basically just going to be a driver. I just want the 400 because it's my favorite small block, because I'm a small block guy, It just, to me, the 400's a little bit more exotic than an average 350 is, I've got nothing against 350s. I have several here, and I love them. I've had them through the years, but for me, the 400 is my engine of choice. But anyway, so far, when I first got it a few years ago, I tore it apart, and it's been sitting over in the corner of the shop, or garage. So it's covered in dust and muck and dirt, because I do a lot of body work and metal work in the garage, so of course it's going to get dusty. But anyway, the only hone I have is a ball bead hone, and it's an old, wore-out one. But anyway, I did it anyway, and I kind of run it through the cylinders. Now you can see already that there's not much of a ridge in the cylinders. I mean, you can kind of feel it, but it's not horrible. I've had a 350s that I've taken apart, and it was like really, really deep. But this one's not bad at all. Also, now I left the dowels in, but I use a piece of steel tubing here, and I've got like 40 grit sandpaper on it, and I always do this just to kind of check, scratch on it. It's just like when I do metal work, I kind of scratch on it with a block to kind of find my highs and lows, and I didn't see anything on both sides. It actually has scratch marks through and through all over it. Even though I've gone around it, I kept it flat. I had one small block I took apart one time. The threads were pulled up like when I scratched on it. it had high spots everywhere a bolt hole was. That was the first time I'd ever seen that. But this one actually looks good, and I don't see any visible cracks between the cylinder walls on that. So, but you know, I'm not going to know until it's Magnaflux. So I just went ahead and spent the day kind of messing with it a little bit, goofing off really. But anyway, I ball bead honed it just to make sure there's no big gouges or no problems in the cylinders. Now I did find one pit down low in the cylinder wall. It's a little bitty one, but I can feel it with my finger. So fortunately, my boss that I have now used to work in a machine shop for years and did all the machine work on stuff. So I'm actually going to load it in the back of the truck, and I'm going to take it to work tomorrow, and I'm going to have him look at it. I'm also going to have him mic the cylinders and check them out, and I'm just going to kind of see what he says on that pit and stuff. But anyway, my idea is to re-ring it and re-bearing it and just use my rebuilt 350 I have over there on the stand. I'm just going to, you know, I don't have the timing cover or oil pan back on it yet, so I'll just pull the timing chain, the double roller timing chain off, and the milling oil pump off, and use my cam lifter kit I bought and put in this engine. Basically just transfer parts because they are brand new, you know, and they are small block to save a little money. But I do have a brand new set of Edelbrock E Street heads for this that are aluminum. They're 64cc. So as far as just doing a re-ring, this is a dish piston 400, and it had 76cc smog heads on it. But you know, going to a 64cc head, even with those dish pistons, it's going to bump the compression up, and it should run pretty decent for a driver. You know, like I said, I'm not looking for a drag car in particular. I just want a nice running driver. But anyway, it all depends on what my boss says. But if he thinks that pit will be all right and it'll hone out with like a 3-stone hone, I'll do that, and then I'll take it to the machine shop and, you know, have it Magnafluxed, and if it checks out okay, then I'll go ahead and have them, you know, hot tank it and brush the galleys and all that, and do cam bearings and all that good stuff. But anyway, I can't really afford to do rings, and I can't afford to do pistons and boring and all that. I just, you know, that's going to be pretty high, and I just don't have the money right now. But I can't afford to buy a set of rings and a set of bearings and stuff. Now the crank looks fantastic out of it. The crank is awesome. It's not even scratched up. So I'll just use some 600 grit sandpaper strips, cut them in strips, and I'll just, you know, polish it myself. I've done that before. But anyway, I'm just real impressed with this little engine. It looks like it's, you know, a pretty nice engine. I don't even see any gouges in the cylinder walls from, you know, spit piston scuff. But anyway, so that's the plan. Hopefully, whatever my boss says, you know, I'm going to go off what he says, basically, because he's more knowledgeable on the machine part of it than I am. But anyway, I did clean the pad off with a Rolock disc and then sanded it real smooth, and then I re-stamped it myself and put half rods on it. If you've ever tried to stamp something, like a name, it's kind of tough to do. That's why it's not quite even. I mean, it's pretty close, but it's not perfect. But it's good enough. And I've done this to some of my 350s in the past. It just personalizes it for me, you know. And, you know, because that pad is visible at the front of the engine when the hood's up. Just a detail thing. I mean, it's not like it's some, you know, high-dollar DZ302 out of a 60-something Camaro, you know. It's just a 400 out of a smog truck, you know. It's nothing fancy, you know, high dollar or nothing. But anyway, this is so far it's been a pretty good little engine. It is a 2-bolt main, and that's about all I've had is 2-bolt mains. I don't know that I've ever had a 4-bolt main 400, and it doesn't matter to me. There's always the debate on 2-bolt versus 4-bolt, and I don't really give a shit. But you know, this does have the raised pad here, but it's just not drilled for the third freeze plug. Because generally, you know, you can always tell when you climb under one if it's a 400 because of that. But unless it's a 509 cast like this one over here. I do have another 400 here. This is an all standard 400, but this is the 509 casting. It doesn't even have the raised pad for the third freeze plug, but it is a 400 small block. This come out of a motorhome. It has a pitted cylinder wall from rain setting in it or water, and so it's going to have to be bored out. But this is a nice shape engine as well. And no, they're not for sale. I hoard 400s when I find them. So this one will basically always be my backup engine if that one ever messes up. But, you know, I might eventually have this one sent to the machine shop, bored out, and put forged flat tops and all that stuff in it. But for now, it's going to stay here. But, you know, I pulled some of the caps and looked at it, and the crank looks good in it. I mean, you can see part of it right there. It's real nice shape, and it doesn't even hardly have a ridge, which is a shame. The guy that I bought it from said the motorhome had about 70,000 miles on it, but you know, whether it's true or not, hell, you never know. It was a Craigslist deal, but I did find out when I took the carburetor off that there was water down in the intake, so I knew I was in trouble there, but fortunately only one cylinder got it. I did try to clean on it a little bit, and it's not bad. It just does have some pitting, and I'm pretty sure 30 over will fix it. But anyway, guys, that's pretty much it. I'm on the road to try to, you know, get a 400 in my car instead of running that old 350. Like I said, nothing against 350s. It's just, to me, the 400 is a little bit more exotic, and especially in this day and age when it's, you know, LS is in everything nowadays. You look around the corner and there's a LS in something. Just trying to break out of the normal, even though the old small block Chevys, you know, they're done to death, and that's what I'm going to have to do. I'm not a rich guy. I can't afford to go do a twin turbo LS or nothing like that, but I can damn sure afford to put some rings and bearings in a 400 small block. But anyway, guys, I'm going to get back at it.